We have ex-Sea Org members here standing outside. Look at us. We're standing here. How many years have we got between us and the Sea Org? How long were you there?
I was in 6 years. 6 years.
6 years.
8.5.
8.5.
1 in Sea Org and longer on staff.
There you go. And 6, 7 here.
I had another 10 or so on staff too.
Poor thing. We're not degraded beings, like you would like to have us believe. We're not anything like that. We're the evolution of waking up. We are, as you would call in your book Dianetics, Homo novus. We've woken up. And you know jolly well that in the last couple of years you've watched staff walk out of there, and let me ask you, are you in touch with any of these people? Or have you been told you can't talk to them? Do not preach to us. Do not you dare preach to us about freedoms and religious tolerance. When you degrade Jesus Christ, you joke about yogism, and you mock anything else that's not Scientology. And don't lecture us about that every Sea Org member in there has a choice. You can't do anything that you want. You will do what you are told. And the scary thing is that you willingly will follow it. You don't think that these Sea Org members out here standing represent something? Do you see degraded beings? Let me tell you about what your management is really like. Let's talk about the Scientologists in there. You know that most people that join the Sea Org are children? You expect 15 and 16-year-olds to give up their life, live in a barracks, work 16 hours a day with no days off for the rest of their life? Is that your real expectation? Because that's what you do. That's what Scientologists do. They give their children like some sacrificial lamb, like some piece of meat, and they throw it at the Sea Org so that they don't get harassed to do their part. Rather than give 100,000 to the IS, they'd rather throw their children to the slaughterhouse. And then years later, those children leave with no education, medical conditions, and a very twisted view of the world. And yet those same Scientologists are still in there today preaching. I'll give you an example. Bevan Berry, all right, came up to us at the last protest to make his point heard. Bevan Berry knows me because here in 1990 and 1991, his daughter, who he threw to the Sea Organisation as a staff member and didn't give her a chance to have an education or anything, unfortunately decided to make that horrible choice of leaving here. And at that time, as a 16-year-old boy, I was in charge of discipline for these staff members. A 16-year-old boy, given the responsibilities that only reside with adults. And what that poor girl went through, being locked up in that garage right there, been made to clean toilets with a toothbrush and treated like dirt, was such a disgusting act.
That's the second time those cars have come past.
And this is not a once-off story. There are hundreds of these. Hundreds. I know, because I put them in the garages. We lock them up over in Los Angeles, and we do it here today. And yet that man, Bevan Berry, is still a member of the Church of Scientology. His daughter, sitting there, screwed up after 15 years, and this is on tape. Bevan Berry came and spoke to us. Said his daughter is still destroyed, and yet he somehow still believes that the way through is to get her Scientology.
And now he gets escorted around by 4 Sea Org staff.
So I decided to write up Bevan Berry and tell the org what he told me, and you know what they did to him? Now when he leaves here, Bevan Berry, despite what's happened to his daughter, 3 members of the Sea Org escort this man to the car so that people like us and other human beings out there can no longer come and talk to Bevan and help this man out. And I like Bevan, and you can see that. You can see that on YouTube, me and him talking for half an hour like good old friends. And then you shut him down, and you tell him and you threaten him, because this man believes that somewhere in there lies his eternity, and you tell him and you deny him his eternity because he wants to know the truth. No other church or religion acts like this. I know, I'm staying over in Newtown, and I stay across the road from a Greek Orthodox church, and every Sunday homeless people go there, and people give up their time. They walk in, they cook food, they help these homeless people out. They don't shove a Bible down their throat. They don't demand that they come and make a donation. They don't do anything like that. They're just out there to help. And while we can sit here and argue about the dogma of religions, the bottom line is religion was always there for the good of man. Even an atheist like myself can appreciate a church. You are not a church. You have never once walked out of there, found one single homeless person and helped them out. You walk past them, and the ones that you get into Scientology, you bankrupt them. You take everything that they've got, every cent. And even Bevan Berry, you take everything that he's got, you've taken his daughter's mind, you've destroyed it, and now you're destroying Bevan's. And the only reason why Bevan's standing there is because he believes the lies that you are the only road to enlightenment that he has available to him. No other religion does that. I can't think of one. I think of the Buddhists that I've met. I even think of the Muslims I've met. I've never seen such arrogance in a religion before. You are not a religion. Do you understand that? You are not a religion. You are a practice. You are a deadly practice. And what's really disturbing is now you've made it a business to take people's money. $300 million was raised internationally when this church here told its parishioners for the 12th time that they had accidentally printed their books incorrectly, and demanded that every single member of the church, under threat of extortion and not being a true Scientologist, must buy those books. What do they cost? $4,000?
Something like that.
$4,000 for books and materials that cost $100 to produce. $300 million. And they've taken it. And it's gone off to the ship in the Caribbean on the free ones, never to be heard of again.
All asbestos.
Yeah, we'll get to that one. And yet here we go, we've got the Scientologists in here today, and they give their money, and let's understand why they're doing it. They believe the lie that Scientology is the answer to their problems. Yet there isn't a shred of proof. We have your ridiculous Tom Cruise standing there on a television telling the world that Scientologists are the only people in the world that can help you in a car accident. Well,
He can fly! Travolta's still
He can eat planets!
does this solve anything?
Go blackmail.
Touch my finger. Thank you. I'll tell you a funny thing. When I had a medical condition that was going to kill me, when I was 17 here, I was taken to hospital almost dead. The church refused to drive me to the hospital, and it took intervention from my family, and they refused the lift, and I ended up having to get a taxi to the hospital to save myself. And when I came back here, do you know what their medical program was for me? They wanted me to talk to my kidneys. I'm not making this up. That was their medical program. And now other members of the Church of Scientology have died because when they get diagnosed with cancer, if they're lucky enough to see a doctor, they're told that the reason why they've got medical conditions is because up here they're out ethics and they're immoral. It's like the girl that was 14 at the Flagland base in Florida in 1992 who was raped by two men, 14-year-old girl. Her name was Sarah. Do you know what we did to her? I said it before at the last protest, but this is a potent point. So that she couldn't complain or go to the police, she was locked up and she was put on degraded labouring work for 8 weeks. It told her she did something up here to make it happen to herself.